Good morning, everybody. My name is Richard Diaz. I am the State Director of Voter Registration with Wisconsin Conservation Voices. Thank you all for taking the time to join us here this morning. On behalf of Wisconsin Conservation Voices, we're proud to share the work that our partners are doing to increase voter participation within communities of color and young people. Our organizations are focusing on efforts to make voting more accessible to all during this election cycle. But this work is only possible because of the years these groups have spent working in these communities. And I'd like to mention that, nobody has a playbook about how to do voter engagement during a pandemic. So the trusted relationships, the respect that these organizations have with community members is really key to our success this year. We're honored to be working with these organizations because we've seen how they listen to the needs of community members and how they advocate for them year after year on non-election years. We're all dedicated to making voting more accessible because our communities deserve to have their voices be heard. Communities of color and young people are most impacted by voter suppression tactics. And we're putting all the resources that we have into the opportunity to have folks participate in this election and participate in our democracy. It's been inspiring to see how many organizations and how organizations with different missions have all come up with creative, innovative ways to do voter engagement during the pandemic and to motivate people to vote. Progressive Health Center is reaching out to their patients using text messaging. Walnut Way is hosting a voter registration site here on North Avenue, right here in the center of Milwaukee's North Side. The YWCA is offering all employees paid time off, adopting a policy that allows all election days to be considered a paid staff holiday. AFT 212, more than ever, is engaging teachers within every department of MATC to register students to vote. It isn't without these organizations that we could have this great work done, and we welcome them to join us. So I'd like to introduce some of our speakers this morning. First, I'd like to introduce Mr. Antonio Butts.
All right. Thank you, Richard. Good morning, everyone. I'm Antonio Butts. Welcome to Walnut Way Conservation Corporation. I'm the executive director. And on behalf of our board and staff, our organization is committed to increasing voter turnout in the 2020 election. Our mantra or our slogan or our campaign this year is "Your vote is your power." So on three, everybody say it with me. Your vote is your power. 1, 2, 3. Your vote is your power. And so this organization started because residents came together to be the change that they were looking for. And so as we continue on our journey to transform the neighborhood and increase equity across the neighborhood, voting, we know, is really, really, truly important to that. So we're doing everything we can to increase education and accessibility. So through this partnership with Wisconsin Voices and also Social Development Commission, we have a voter registration site open at our commercial property at the Wellness Commons between 16th and 17th and North Avenue. The voter registration site will be open on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 1 to 6 p.m. every day, helping folks get registered to vote. For the next 4 weeks, we're going to be doing different campaigns every week. Within a week, you'll see street signage from 9th and North to 20th and North, basically working to inspire people to come out and vote. We'll have some other resource events and fairs that'll take place in the coming weeks as well. So on behalf of Walnut Way Board and staff, we'd like to say thank you and come and register to vote.
All right, next I'd like to introduce our next speaker, Miss Jenny Finn of YWCA, Southeastern Wisconsin.
Thanks for everyone for being here. As he said, I'm Jenny Finn. YWCA Southeast Wisconsin has been part of this community for over 128 years. In fact, YWCA is a national network of women who were all suffragettes. In fact, they were making sure that women had a voice before women had a vote. We would like to continue that tradition. As has been mentioned earlier, we provide Election Day as a paid holiday for all of our employees in November. This is a new policy, but it's not about this November. It's about every November. This is in addition to the fact that for decades we have provided at minimum 4 hours of paid time off on Election Day to go vote. But our employees are engaged in so many ways. We are happy that they are volunteering their own time to a number of the organizations that are here. And we are also hosting voter registration this week, the 24th, from 10 to 1. And one of our colleagues, organizations, who also happens to be in our headquarters, will be having a food giveaway. So please share that information. We are located at 1915 Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Drive at the corner of MLK and Reservoir. And whether it's about being engaged as a civic voter or getting any of the other services you need to be fully engaged in the community, we'd welcome you to come by. All our services are virtual, everything's free, and we are humbled to be partnering with everyone today. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. I'd like to make an honorable mention to Progressive Health Center, and unfortunately their staff could not be here today, but their CEO does send their condolences, and they have been doing a wonderful job again registering voters that come through their health services. So let's give them a round of applause. Okay, next I'd like to introduce our next speaker, Mr. Kevin Mulvena of AFT 212.
Thank you. My name is Kevin Mulvena, Executive Vice President of Local 212, AFT Local 212, representing over 1,000 faculty and professional educators at MATC. We're one of the oldest teachers union in the country, and I think one of the most progressive in the country and the state of Wisconsin as well. MATC, as part of its mission, says that we will inspire and transform lives in our community. And as a union and as a faculty, we know that one of the ways we can do that is by educating and empowering our students to become active participants in this democracy. And that's a hard lift, because we live in one of the poorest and the most segregated cities in America. So empowering our students, convincing them that they can make a difference, that their voice is important, is often difficult. But we persevere. I've taught American government and American history for over 30 years. My life's work has been trying to get young people to understand that they're important, that their voice matters, and they need to show up. I'm getting toward the end of that career, and sometimes I wonder if we've made a difference at all. And then the summer of 2020 came. And night after night after night after night, I saw young people of all colors, all creeds, in the streets. And I knew we'd turned a corner. I knew it. Martin Luther King tells us that only in the darkness can we see the stars. I think we've seen the stars. There are young people who must show up and vote. When I was an infant, John F. Kennedy was inaugurated, and he announced that the torch had been passed to a new generation. That was me. So I grew up to teach and try and empower. But I'm here to tell you that torch has been passed again to this generation of young people. And MATC is doing everything it can to make sure they vote. We visit classrooms. Every class. We send electronic forms asking them how they're going to vote, what's their plan to vote, who else can they encourage to vote. We will continue to do that. We will continue to be an active part of this wonderful coalition here today. And I couldn't be more happy and proud. Thank you.
All right, our next speaker is Mr. Jeff Moser of the Milwaukee Rep, who is going to talk about a tremendous youth project meant to engage other youth to participate in this year's election. So let's give it up for Jeff Moser.
Good morning, Jeffrey Moser from Milwaukee Repertory Theater. I'm Associate Director of Education there. New title, sorry about that. The mission of Milwaukee Repertory Theater, the very first line is, Milwaukee Rep ignites positive change in the social, cultural, and economic vitality of its community. And with our hip-hop voting videos that we've created in partnership with Wisconsin Conservation Voices, I can't think of a better way that's been represented. In addition to creating world-class theater, Milwaukee Repertory Theater and its engagement and education departments are dedicated to creating opportunities to showcase and encourage talent in our city and spread information across the state. Our partnerships with organizations all over the city have led us to connecting and creating projects that students, young artists, and communities are excited and encouraged by. In particular, we've been working with a local artist, Q the Sun, a producer and hip-hop maker, to create a variety of hip-hop videos, including a batch right here for Wisconsin Conservation Voices. Our goal was to create a series of 1-minute PSAs, public service announcement-like videos that would encourage the first-time voter, encourage the disenfranchised voter, and encourage the unsure voter that it's time to step up to the ballot box this November. In addition to the act of voting, we also want to make sure that these young artists address the need to answer the call to answer the census, so that each neighborhood in Milwaukee is represented, thereby alleviating the competition for crumbs. Milwaukee Rep's dedication to creating conversation around relevant and poignant topics affecting our city can be seen in our Repair Divides programming series that continues monthly in partnership with the Zeidler Center. Through a facilitated conversation on September 17th, we featured the hip-hop voting videos in partnership with Wisconsin Conservation Voices so that we can discuss how we can uplift underrepresented and unrepresented voices at the polls. We're so proud to be able to connect here, and we're excited to help you and continue to voice the vote. Thank you.
All right, our last speaker is going to be Mr. Greg Lewis from Souls to the Polls. Let's give a round of applause for Greg Lewis.
Hey, good morning. It's always nice to have a press conference when you don't have to scream and holler because you're upset. But today we can cheer and lift our voices because we're doing something that is going to be productive for our community. This is probably going to be the most important vote of my life. And we want to encourage everybody to come out and vote. We have an opportunity right here, not only to change the nation, but the world. Whatever happens here in Milwaukee is going to affect not only our country, but it's going to affect the world. We have to come out because we have to show that when we do work together, things change. We can't miss this opportunity. You know, they protested, they've marched, and all those things have happened, and now we have to transition to policy and system change. So people have to come out. And even after we get finished voting on November 3rd, we have to stay together and kind of have a voting block so that we can control community here and not have to keep begging for things that ought to be ours in the first place. So I just want everybody to take advantage of the site where they're going to be registering people. And tell your friends and neighbors and family members, tell everybody you know to come over here and get registered to vote. But not only get registered to vote, but make sure you get those photo IDs. Because here's the deal, everybody. If you get the photo ID, even if you don't get registered in time, but I want you to get registered in time, even if you don't, during early voting, you can go into the polling places, and if you have a photo ID and a proof of residency, you can vote right then and there. That's important. That's big. And on November 3rd, if you have a photo ID, when you go vote on November 3rd to your polling place, if you take a proof of residency, you can vote right then and there. Don't let this happen again. The same thing that happened in 2016 when we didn't come out and we didn't express ourselves with our vote. Things happen when we come out. Things happen when we do things together. Things happen when all of us work together for the common good. And things are going to happen this time because I just believe that you're going to come out and vote. But if you do come out and vote, make sure you get yourself registered and not disappointed when you go to that polling place. So I just want to thank everybody for being here today. I want to thank Walnut Way and all the partners, you know, the YWCA and the Repertory, all these people, because it's all hands on deck. We need to be working together for this. We cannot have one vote wasted. Everybody needs to vote. Our lives depend on it. We're in critical condition. We're on a life support. We're on a breathing machine. It's code red, code blue. Everybody needs to get out. We have to vote. So let's get out, family. Let's get out and let's vote.
All right, everyone. Well, you just heard from some of Milwaukee's most encouraged organizations on getting folks out to vote and registering to vote. And also you've heard how we can do voter engagement during a pandemic. I'd also like to mention that anyone who needs to register to vote can go to wcv.votewisconsin.com and register online. I'd like to end by saying that our voice is our vote, and this year we plan to be heard. Thank you, everybody.